working on this 04 Polaris Trailblazer 250. Just picked it up. It will start and somewhat idle, but only on choke. And then when you go full throttle, it wants to bog down. So it's gonna need a carb job, more than likely. It's been sitting for a while. I put a battery in it. I put some fresh gas in it. Still not running 100%. So we're gonna go ahead and take the carburetor apart, clean it, maybe put some new jets in it, and that should get it running right. So let's get right into it. All right, just kind of want to give you an idea of what this machine's doing. So put the choke on, start it up. Kind of wants to bog already, but so kind of try to idle on choke. Even warm, cold, doesn't matter. It does the same thing. The gas is a little low, but it has enough gas to be able to idle. So as soon as you turn the choke off, it just dies. So let's go ahead and get started here. And we're gonna pull this air box out. And that seems to be the easiest way to get to this carburetor. Carburetor is right down there. So let's get this air box out. Looks like it's two 10mm bolts, and then we'll get that out of the way. All right, so we got the air box loose. Just took out those two bolts. And then if you look down, let's see if it'll focus. There's a screw right there, flathead screw right there that we have to loosen up to get the boot from the air box off the carburetor, and then we should be able to pull the air box out. All right, so we got the air box out. It took a little bit of wiggling, but now you can see the carburetor there. And then we've got to undo that. Let's see if I can get in there to focus. Right there, that Phillips head right there, to get the carburetor removed from the boot that holds it to the cylinder head. So let's get that zipped out. All right guys, so now we got the carburetor free, and from this position, I've already turned the gas off. What we can do is we can actually fully service this carburetor in this position. So we just flip it upside down, and then what we're gonna do is just gonna zip those four screws out, those Phillips heads, and then we can gain access to the jets inside the carburetor without actually taking off all these lines and the throttle assembly and the choke assembly and the fuel lines and all that. It's just a pain. So I'm gonna grab my drill here, and we'll get those Phillips heads zipped out, and then we'll see what the jets and what the inside of the carburetor looks like. All right guys, so we got the float bowl off, and it's pretty gnarly in there. You can see the main jet. This is the main jet right here. It's all covered in dried up ethanol from the gasoline. That's why you should run non-ethanol, especially if the bike's gonna sit and not be used for a while. You got the pilot jet in there, which is probably equally as clogged. And pretty interesting, this is the first time I've ever taken apart one of these carburetors, but typically, so this has got two individual floats that seem to ride on these little metal shafts here. They kind of go up and down. As the fuel comes into the bowl, those float up, and they actually push on this here, this lever here, which in turn pushes that needle up into the passageway. That's where the fuel comes out and shuts the fuel off. So typically the float would be attached to this, and the float, those little black pieces, those are called floats. Those would be attached to the float arm, and they would just go up and down like this. But this is a completely different system. It seems like it's a little more complicated than it should be. I'm not really sure of the benefits of this. You guys can comment down below if you know the benefits or pros and cons to this. But yeah, you always want to check these floats for cracks and make sure they're not full of fuel, because what happens is if they're cracked or they're leaking, gas leaks into these, they won't go up and the fuel will not shut off. So what happens with that is that the fuel doesn't shut off when this bowl fills up. It just comes out the overflow, and then you have a carburetor that's just leaking gas continuously. And even worse, if the this is the overflow for the carburetor, so if this is clogged, then the gas will actually go straight into your motor, into your crankcase, and you'll have fuel in your oil. So that becomes a big problem. So always want to service your carburetor and make sure the floats are good. All right, so this is the pilot jet. This is what controls the startup, idle, and throttle up to a quarter. And it's completely clogged. I can't really show you inside there because it's such a small little passageway, but I tried blowing air through it, and it doesn't seem to want to come clean. So I've got like a little pin I usually use. Looks almost like a little piece of wire. I'm gonna try to send that through it and see if I can clear it out, but if not, we may just have to replace this. Next, I'm gonna pull out the main jet. All right, guys, so I got the main jet here. It's pretty nasty, so typically what I do is I'll blow some carburetor cleaner through this, and then I also have my air chuck there. I'm going to show you guys how that works. I'm going to blow some air through there as well. Typically you can clean out the main jets a lot easier than the pilot jets because the passageway is a lot bigger, so it doesn't clog up as easy as the little passageway that is in the pilot jet. So, alright, so now I've got this little air tool here. It comes to a fine point, and I'm just going to blow air. Watch your face straight through. Clean all that stuff out both ways. Flip it around so you can see through it. Now that is crystal clear. Let's see if we can see the size on here. I don't think so. But regardless, that is clear now. So I'm going to try to work on the pilot jet now and see if I can clear that up. And if not, we may be running to the motorcycle store to get a replacement. All right, guys, so we're going to blow some carb cleaner here into the ports where the main jet was. Spray some stuff in there. Get all that nastiness out. Forgot to mention, to get the main jet out is just a pair of pliers or like a wrench of the same size. It's got like a square head to it. And then for the pilot jet, it's just a small little flat head is really all it takes to get that out. And what I like to do also is blow some air also through the ports where the main jet was. Get all that nasty crap out of there, blowing the camera around. And where the pilot jet was. Because the carburetor cleaner will clean most of the stuff out, but you know, you still get that debris that gets gunked up in there, and just forcing some high pressure air through there will make a huge difference. All right, so I can feel the air coming out now, so that's nice and clean. Now we have to clean out this float ball. You can see all that nastiness down in there. Yeah, so you can see all that crap floating in there. You want to try to get the float bowl as clean as possible so that, you know, the clean jets that you put in it don't suck up the nasty stuff that's still in the float bowl. So I usually let this carb cleaner sit in there for a little bit, let it do its work, and then take like a screwdriver and like a rag or like a small wire brush and just get in there and really give it a good scrub. All right, guys, so got it cleaned out pretty good. Not perfect, but you know, all the nasty stuff that's really going to get sucked up or anything that'll come off the sides I got off. So now I got to either figure out if I can go get a replacement pilot jet, or if you know, if I can clean another one out. I'm gonna try to clean it out real fast with that wire and see if I can get that to clear up. If I can, great, we can put it back together and then we should be running good. If not, then I'm gonna have to stop by the store and see if I can grab one of these little pilot jets. All right, guys, so we got lucky. I actually have this carburetor jet cleaning kit that I got, and this basically goes into the passage of the pilot jet. You just kind of go back and forth. There's like little ribs on the tool there to kind of clean all the junk out. And I was actually able to get it to go all the way through, clean out all that crap. So now we can see right through it. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and put the carburetor back together. We'll put the carburetor back on and see how she runs. All right, guys, so we got it all back together. Got the choke off. Idles now. Much better. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.